You're listening to the Creative Capital Podcast. You're dying to learn about how you can create wealth through real estate investing? Then you've come to the right place. Join in every week as we go over the ins and outs of real estate investing and learn how you too can become financially free.
What's going on, everybody? This is Josh Ferrari, host of the Creative Capital Podcast. Guys, I'm grinning from ear to ear. This was such a happy, great show with none other than Esther Reizes from all the way up in New York, who just 4.5 years ago didn't even know what a mortgage was. I mean, this chick came literally from not knowing a thing to having raised over $30 million in 8 months, 8 short months. Guys, she's crushing it. She knows exactly what to do. She knows you need to be genuine. You need to be open. You need to be honest. And don't try to get like pinch pennies. Don't try to screw people over. Don't say, hey, like I'm not going to co-broker with you or whatever. Just do unto others like you would want them to do unto you, basically. And if it means taking less money, if it means making less, if it means doing more work for less, that's fine, because it's going to be so powerful and impactful on what a referral with that person or doing someone right on the front end. How much more business are you now going to be able to do with that person that you would have otherwise lost out on if you had tried to screw them or tried to get a little bit extra money out of the deal and squeeze it just a little bit, squeeze the seller, negotiate, buy it at a great price. It's good and all. You want to buy right, but at the end of the day, you want it to be a win-win for everyone so that you get good referrals and you have happy clients and happy investors and customers, and you just want to do right by people. So this show was powerful. I learned a lot. I mean, I know you guys have probably heard I raised $6 million in 30 days. Well, that's nothing compared to 30 million in 8 months. I mean, that's some powerful stuff. And I think she knows more of what she's doing than she gives herself credit for. She says she's still learning, she's still putting things together, but she's doing phenomenal. I mean, I don't know much of anyone else that can, I mean, maybe some larger businesses or syndicators or institutional money that can raise this kind of money in this time frame, but people like her who are just getting started or in the commercial space and trying to be a good realtor, good broker, those types of people you don't normally hear raising this type of capital. So she's doing something right, and she's got some secret sauce that she shares with us today in this episode. It's such a powerful episode. We learn how she did it. We learn why she did it, what she was raising the money for. How did she begin to build that database of investors? Where do you even begin to meet these people, to build these connections, to build that level of trust so that people are thinking about you when they're thinking about investing or talking with their family about investing or what have you? We think about, what do you even say when you find someone that does have money or that's interested in investing with you or buying a deal off of you or whatever? How do you begin that conversation? How do you portray yourself as a professional? How do you be open and honest? And a lot of that comes from just being genuine, guys. And she really dives in deep in the show on what exactly she does that's created such a high level of success for her. And that's another impactful thing that you guys will have to listen out for. And she also opens up a little bit about her personal life and kind of where she came from and what got her into real estate and how she really took from where she was of not knowing what a mortgage is to being so extremely successful. And her story, guys, it's powerful. It's impactful. I'm so glad she shared it. I'm so glad. I really think it'll touch some of you out there and where you are in your position right now and maybe considering getting into real estate or already being in it, but not really knowing how to scale or how to raise money or how to do what it is you're trying to do. And she really lays it out in layman's terms for us to understand. And it's a really powerful show. I'm so excited for you guys to listen to the show. So we're just going to jump right in. Hey, what's going on, Esther? It's good to have you out on the show.
So excited to be here. Thank you.
I'm stoked. I know we had met on LinkedIn, I believe, a couple months ago, and I just literally see you everywhere on social media. Like everywhere I go, you've already, before the post even like comes out, you know what I mean? It's like, I already see you commenting. You're already liking that. She's got something going. Yeah, she's got something going on here. She's everywhere. So I'm glad we were finally able to get you out on the show. But for those that don't really know who you are and what you do, maybe haven't seen you on social media, tell us a little bit about you and then what got you interested in investing in real estate.
Thank you. That's a long answer, but I'll try to put it in a concise version. Formerly I still am a speech language pathologist. I've been practicing for many years, and about 3.5, 4 years ago, I decided to divert into real estate for many reasons. Number one, I have children and I was working with children. And as my kids were getting to the age of the children I was working with, it was just getting too difficult to work with children and then come home to children. It was too torturous for me. It was zapping all my energy, and I wouldn't have energy for my children when they came home from school. So I wanted to be there more for them. That was one reason. Then we moved from Brooklyn to Rockland County, New York. In Brooklyn, I worked with one agency in one school, seeing students back to back. And, so long as the schedule flowed, work was easy. In Rockland County, every agency gets random cases all over. So I'd have to travel from house to house. So I said, after I did it like 2-3 times, I'm like, the only way I'm going around from house to house is selling the homes and not working in them. So I got into real estate. I always wanted to go into commercial. I felt like that was more my personality. I like networking. I like connecting. I consider myself a serial networker. So I figured it's perfect for my personality to go into such a field. People often ask me, like, how did you get here? Like, who inspired you? I was like, nobody. I just found a job that fit my personality and I went for it. When I initially joined Keller Williams, the broker over there told me I need to go into residential at first. And I'm like, doesn't make sense because they're two totally different animals. But I'm like, you know what? I'll go into residential. I'll learn that. I don't mind. I don't mind knowing everything. So I got into residential at first and made some good connections. And slowly, as you meet people and you get to know people, this one's looking for a multifamily deal and this one's looking for a hotel deal. So I'm like, okay, let me find out about that. Let me go into that. And slowly but surely, I got into all class assets, pretty much nationally, selling, representing buyers and sellers on different assets. So that's how I got into real estate, in short. But there's more to it that I'll get to.
Yeah, that's super cool that people ask you what got you interested, and you're like, well, nothing. I just found something that fit what I just like to do naturally, figured it would be neat to do. But then also from the other standpoint of what your day job. So are you still working your day job? I think you said you
I
were.
am not. No.
You're not.
I really enjoy it. Like, I really enjoy the concept of it right now, at least. And I have great memories, and I have made success enabling a lot of children to enhance their speech and language abilities. But this is giving me life. This is like, I've never been happier. This is totally, this feeds my extrovertness. So it's perfect for me.
Yeah, perfect. And you've only been in it for what? You said 4.5 years now?
Yeah, about 3.5 years. Yeah.
And that's just on the commercial side, or that's on the residential
Both.
side?
That's both. Well, another big reason I started just like learning was, you're going to laugh at this. I'm married to this wonderful, wonderful guy, amazing, amazing person. And he treats me like a queen. Yeah. He never asked me to go to work. Even when I was studying for my speech language pathology degree, he'd be like, skip it. It's fine. Just stay home. He used to tell me, like, sit on the couch, watch Oprah and eat popcorn. And he was totally fine with it. And I was fine with it. And all I would do is like pretty much swipe the credit card. We joke about it, that we were in a workshop. He would work and I would shop. So, and he was fine with it. I was fine with it, but I was clueless about finances, clueless about paying a bill or what a bill looks like. I had no clue of anything. I went for my degree, so I knew that. I knew what I knew, but I didn't know anything else. And I personally always wanted to work because I just felt better working. I like to get out of the house. I like to work. I like to feel productive. It's also like a nice feeling to be able to contribute. I always went to work, but I didn't know. There was a point where I realized there's so much I don't know. Yeah. Like, I don't know. When we bought our house about 4 years ago, I didn't even know what a mortgage was. Like, to that extent. So one day I'm like, I just got to know something. So I started listening and learning and reading and listening to podcasts, anything I could to just enhance my knowledge and get out there. And I have not stopped. So I haven't watched a movie in, I don't know, 3.5 years. Don't ask me what the latest stars are, Hollywood stars are. I would not know. It's pretty much working kids.
Yeah, that's wow. I mean, that's a powerful story. The fact that the learning curve there was astronomical and you were like, well, I'm going to do it because I want to. It's something that I am striving to achieve. So let's learn everything that we can. And you literally have not stopped since. Yeah. So how do you go from not even knowing what a mortgage is to raising $30 million in 8 months. Like, take me through that process. Where did you come from getting into the commercial and like beginning, raising capital besides just the buying and selling aspect to then having raised $30 million in 8 months?
Okay, so back to starting as a realtor, as a residential realtor, I found one client that was very happy with me and my services, and he asked me to help him find a multifamily development, which I successfully found. Got into let everyone know that I'm in the commercial world, and it all starts is with one happy client. That's all it starts with. One client that feels comfortable with you, that trusts you. My goal, my aim is to be open, transparent, and honest with all my clients. So whatever I know, they know. There's so many agents out there that do what it takes just to make money. That's not me. I'm here to do it the right way. And I think at the end of the day, people appreciate that. They appreciate honesty. And it sort of came back to me. So with this one client, I then did another 6 transactions. So from within 3.5 years of real estate, I've transacted over $300 million in commercial real estate. Then my name got out there. Fast forward, during COVID, one of my clients came over to me and asked me if I can help them find capital for a deal that they're looking for. So the reason I say the story of me not knowing anything is because I was so naive at the beginning. I had no idea what raising capital entails and all the regulations involved. And I say the story not to take it out of context, but I just had no clue at the beginning. So this client asked me, I'm like, sure. Within 2 phone calls, I found $800,000 that he was looking for. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. This is easy. So I connected the buyer and the investor with the principal, and I didn't even take a normal commission like most people would do. Then I learned that you're not allowed to take a percentage. You're not allowed to do that. So I was just like clueless at the beginning until I came up with, I started realizing and learning and reading up that there are many regulations involved and it can't be that easy. So I ended up anyways giving back that money because I don't want to be involved in that. I had no idea. So, I can't even blame myself, but the person that had asked me, he should have known better to say like, oh, you need to be part of our team in order to raise the capital. You need to be, doing something. You have to have a job within the deal in order to do that. So that was a big learning experience. But that's like snowballed into, I'm like, wow, this is something I can really do. This is really good because I know a lot of people. I know buyers, I know sellers, I know investors. So why not just put it out there? So I put it out there within my family and friends or people that I was working with already. I let them know that this is what I'm doing. And my husband's partner had a few deals and I pretty much connected him with co-GPs and JVs. So that was like a few deals together. And it was just like, it was fairly easy. I feel bad to say it. It was fairly easy to raise the money. Yeah. But it was from these few connections that I had made with people that trusted me and were willing to listen to my ideas and willing to listen to what I have. And then they were willing to work with me. So that's pretty much in short how I got to it.
Yeah, I love how it came back to just having a connection with this person, having them know, like, and trust you because you've done business with them before. And right. Maybe you don't always have to do business with people before to raise money, but that was just another leg up you had. Like, she's helped me transact a financial real estate endeavor before. Why not? Let's just do it again. Let's do it again with someone else. And I've got some money. I mean, how did you know who to call? For the people out there that maybe are a little bit experienced, or they are an agent or commercial, or even not, they're a newbie getting in, or they've raised a little bit of money. How do you know when a deal comes up? How do you know who to call that's going to be able to give you $800,000 in 2 phone calls? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So dealing with these people constantly. So it was just like, during the conversation of me, as they were trying to find their commercial properties, I, by the way, mentioned that I have this deal. They're looking for a co-GP or a JV, and they're like, tell me more about it. Let me hear. What are the details? I'm interested. So I feel like co-GPs and JVs are easier to raise for than otherwise because people have a unanimous say in the deal. So they feel more willing to go into it if they have control, so to say, of the deal. So I think that's so much easier than finding passive investors that would go into a deal and then you have to explain, you have to let them know the whole thing. And if someone has control, they're more willing to go into a deal. That's what I found.
Yeah, that's another powerful point that a lot of people don't talk about, because a lot of people are trying to raise money just for on the passive side because they're trying to get into syndication. They want to scale and they
Yeah.
don't want to give away too much of the pie to get into these deals. So they're like, yeah, well, we need the money, but we're going to get it on the limited partner side. So let's see who all we can raise money for on the passive side. But I think there's a point to be made that it does make more sense if you bring them in on the GP side, because especially if they don't know you. Like maybe
Right.
they know someone that you know that can give you a good referral. They're like, hey, this person's great. I know you don't know them, but you know me. So I think this is worth a shot here. The deal seems good. What do you think? And then they would come in and they would partner. I think was that what you did primarily when you were
Yes.
raising the 30 million? It was all
Yes.
co-GP
Yeah.
and JV?
And I
Okay.
also felt like timing was probably right with COVID because people were also afraid to take sole risks at the time. Now people are more easily ready to take that risk, but I felt like at that time, it just, it was easier for people to consider it. So I
Yeah.
think timing was also right over there.
Okay. And so what were you raising the money for? I mean, was this like a fund that you were putting together to just shoot out to all these people? Or it was literally someone new, some new GP or something would come up to you and say, hey, we've got this opportunity. We need money. And then you would go out to your network and find money for that person. So but then would you also become a co-GP in that?
Yeah, so I'm involved in those deals. It's pretty much some warehouses. It was a like a bungalow colony. You know what that is? Like a single family home development upstate New York. They can call it a bungalow colony. So someone was raising for that. And then Connecticut multifamily. It was people that were right there. So it wasn't like I had to go search. It was my husband's partner that was working on these deals, like my husband's partner for something else. But he also has some real estate. So it was an easy find. It wasn't like
Yeah.
something I had to go out and search for. Yes, it's cool that I raised a 30 million, but I feel bad to boast about it. It was so easy. Like it was just right there.
That's another good point, because a lot of times it is right there. It is
Yeah.
right in front of your face, and you're not putting yourself out there to ask the question or to talk to the person about what it is even that you do. Because I actually did a money raising challenge in July of last year. Previous to the challenge, I had only raised like $150,000 and really didn't know anything about capital raising and
Yeah.
or platform development or thought leaderships or any of that. And then at the end of the 30 days, I raised $6 million. And it was
Wow.
like, holy cow. Like you said, it was right there. You just
Yeah.
had to get out there and be yourself and get people to know what it is that you do. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times people don't even know.
Maybe it's a good thing that I talk too much. I don't know. Like I just talk what I share what
Yeah,
I'm doing, and sometimes that has good ramifications.
definitely. So let me ask you, I mean, you said it was really easy, but let's just ask, I guess, big picture for someone that maybe doesn't already have this large database, this large network of people they've already done deals with, and they're just kind of starting out and they're looking to eventually get to where you are, raise a ton of money in a short amount of time so that they can start to scale. Where do you even begin raising that amount of money? Like, where do you begin building that database of investors?
Yes, I think it all starts with the people that trust you. You have to build your reputation. You have to build relationships. You have to build people's trust for you. You have to just deal with people like you want to be treated. I think that's where it comes from. Yes. And then networking. I got to these people from, okay, it happened to be I sold them a house and from one thing to the next, but then they're going to refer me to their friends and their, family. And how many more houses did I sell just because of that? People that referred me. So I think it's all about building your reputation and building your network to enable you to, people should want to come to you. I think that's pretty much the answer. It's just get out there, also educate people, let people know, first of all, share with them what you're doing, and also educate them about real estate. So I started writing articles as well. I started writing real estate articles for a magazine. So whatever I know, I'm sharing with the next person. I feel like that's a huge benefit to people. I also enjoy highlighting other people's success. So I'm very happy for people that are doing great. And I think that also helps me establish relationships with people, and just that my education that gets out there, people are asking me, they're like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, just look at my article that I just wrote. So it's about educating, networking, and being honest, transparent, and trustworthy.
That's awesome. How did you get on this newspaper thing to write articles? Did they reach out to you, or did you reach out to them, or what did that look like?
Yeah, so I had written, it's funny because I don't consider myself a writer, and I don't really enjoy writing. I just write whatever comes to mind at that time. It's not something I consider myself. I hated writing in school. I had written a letter. I have one of my sons was born with a health issue, and he was in the hospital for 4.5 months. So I had written it was hell. I had written a letter to him when he turned 4 years old, just like, detailing the experience and all the lessons I learned from him and going through that ordeal. And I had posted it on Facebook as just like a personal post, my letter to Morty, my letter to my son. And it went viral. Like, people reach out to me if they can post it. It was in a magazine. It was on a website. It was in several places. Like, they're like, wow, this is a really cool, inspirational letter. And you can help so many more people by sharing it. So I'm like, go for it. Sure, no problem. Post it. And I can't remember if he approached me or I approached him, but he had seen my article that I had written to my son. And he asked me, he's like, let's give it a try. Do you mind writing, or let's give it a try? So I said, sure, no problem. I figured it was also a good way for me I was so new in the industry. I figured it's a good way for me to get out there. So to get my name out. So I just started writing, whatever I learned at the time, I would write about, and I'd interview a lot of people and get their opinions on it. So that's pretty much how I got around to that. And now I have a second magazine that just reached out to me to write for them. So last night I started writing for another magazine.
That's such a powerful story. The fact that you took what seemed like a negative at the time and you're like, well, and you weren't even thinking that this could be like a big break or something. You're just like, I'm literally just going to write a letter to my son so that when he gets out of this hospital or whatever, I'll post about it and he can see it, and that's it. That'll be the end of it, or we'll grow from there. And then it turned into this big ordeal to where now you got all these other opportunities, newspapers. You've now got this big name for yourself, and you were just being genuine. You're just being yourself. That's something I think the listeners really need to pick up on, is that you'd be surprised at how just being yourself will work wonders in your business, and being genuine and being 100%. Honest and being open.
100%. And everyone also in the business, everyone has to it's something that I learned. Like, there's no one set rule for everyone, right? I think I'm the craziest person you'll ever meet. Like, between my family and what I do, I'm like, people are like, wow, how do you do it? And why do you focus on one thing? And why do everyone's going to have something to say always. So what you said, being you, is so important. That's something I realized also. You have to do what works for you. What I'm going to do is not going to work for you. And what you're going to do is not going to work for me. Everyone has to find what to do within what works for them.
Right.
And everyone's different. So everyone's going to find their niche in their own way.
Exactly. And then that's going to be your competitive edge. Everyone thinks that they need to follow this other person that's super successful down to the T because of whatever. And maybe you need to follow some of the steps that they're doing because they've got this track record of success, but have the competitive edge and the differentiating factor that makes you you, because that's what's going to make you interesting. And that's what's going to make people draw to you rather than the hundreds of other syndicator options that they have in, the United States or wherever.
I mean, keep learning. You could keep listening to what they have to say.
Right.
But always center back and see what works best for you.
So, Esther, what do you even say to these investors in order to get them to invest with you? How does that conversation go when you initially call them and say, hey, I've got an opportunity or whatever?
So by now, it's people that are reaching out to me. They're like, oh, can you help us with our deal? I'm at that point where I don't even have to say anything. People are reaching out to me. I have about 40 projects, just about. I have to go back and check which one still needs capital or which one, I'm not involved in all of them, but I have so much out there that's coming my way. Like, I don't even have to say anything anymore. And people know that. They're like, oh, what do you have to offer us? They come to me now. They're like, we're looking for this criteria, but we were looking to put $6 million in Ohio. We're looking to put $5 million in Texas. We want to have a say in the matter. They give me their criteria, and I just kind of match up the criteria with the property description as much as I can. Once in a while, I'll be like, hey, this just, if it's someone I'm just talking to, I'm like, would you be interested in this one? So by now, I have a list of people that I know they're actively looking to take on those positions as investors. And I know, like, if I have something that just came out, I'll be like, oh, this just came out. So these are people that I know, people that are accredited, family and friends, people that I've dealt with before. By now, it's like I can't even keep up with the demands.
Right. You're gonna need to start hiring some people.
I'm working on it.
So,
Working on it.
having
Yeah.
some people assist you. But that's awesome though, that you went just 4.5 years ago of not even knowing what a mortgage was to
Yeah.
having millions and millions of dollars just like floating your way or
Yeah.
flooding even. It's coming so quick. Like, hey, this is what we want to spend. And you don't even have to go out and say anything now. But you still are. You didn't just like stop doing social media. You didn't
Oh
just
no.
stop doing whatever. You
I don't
continue.
stop. I don't
Yeah. It's
but also I'm being very, very careful. So as I'm growing and learning more, I'm listening to every single capital raising podcast that I can. I'm in the middle of reading a few capital raising books because it's an industry that you have to be very, very careful of how you go about it. There's so many regulations of what to say, what to advertise, what to do, how to approach people if anyone's going to approach someone. There's a lot to know. So get yourselves educated and read whatever you can. Contact attorneys, speak to them. I mean, obviously, unfortunately there's some attorneys that say the opposite things, but from what I found. But do your due diligence in that sense and make sure you're doing it 100% right. That little plug.
Yeah, I'd like to ask, like, what are maybe some of those qualifications, but I don't know if that's something that you could share some light on, or if it's one of those things you have to like preface with, I'm not an attorney and XYZ.
Oh,
But
I mean, what do you mean? Like, what's the question?
like, right, like, so, okay, when raising money for someone in a position like yourself, say I'm an investor, I've got this deal and I need $1 million and I've never even raised $100. Like I need some money from someone that has access to this kind of capital. I come to you and say, hey, I need this amount of money. Can I do that? Or when you bring the money, do you have to be a part of the deal? Like, what does that look like?
Yes. Okay. So by now, from my little experience that I have already, I learned that I'm only working with people that have a certain track record. So just a little story. If I was working with one person that approached me to raise capital to help them with the deal. So I got involved in the deal and it looked like an amazing deal. And I was helping him do like managing and phone calls and emails. The deal was, he had gotten it at a $7 million below average market value at a foreclosure. It was an amazing deal. Anyone that I said something to about it, they wanted to buy it for him. That showed me also that it was just an amazing deal. It was a very desirable deal. But every person that I got on the phone with him just didn't want to deal with him. The guy was just not pleasant to work with and wasn't being transparent. He wasn't providing all the necessary documents that were required. So that was like a big eye-opening experience for me. And I was like, okay, my reputation's on the line. I need to make sure that I'm working with reputable people only. I need to vet them before I say, okay, yes, I'm going to, get onto your deal, help you out with the deal, and then help you with the capital. So on my end, that's an important criteria that I look out for. The people have to be experienced. Like someone just reached out to me. If I can help them find 200 million, I actually got the call now. We were supposed to have a follow-up, $200 million for some project in Manhattan. So obviously I'm going to give them the whole spiel. I need to be involved in the deal. I need to get on board. I can't just raise the capital for you. I need to have a set job on the deal. Once I have a set job, I'm doing work for you, I can assist you in raising capital. I learn more about the deal, obviously all the documents, and I have to discuss everything with my attorney before I need to get a green light for everything because I want to do things right. My reputation is important to me. So I have to make sure I nudge these attorneys to no end, but I don't care because it has to be done the right way.
Yeah, definitely. What an adventure. Like the story, propulsion, like direction that you've gone from of not knowing anything to you're like $200 million people come and asking you about. Yeah. That's incredible. So Esther, what would you say, if any, like was there any one thing that you think really propelled you to that $30 million in that short time frame?
It wasn't something that I was expecting. It came out of someone approached me to it. So nothing really propelled me to it, I should say, because it came my way. I think just being open to different experiences and open to new ideas and not being like so stuck in your way, it just gave me the ability to see something else, like to see a new opportunity. So I think maybe that's what it was. I have my eyes and ears open. It's interesting because, as a realtor, I'm also in many class assets. And people are like, why don't you focus on one thing? I'm like, you have a point, you have a point. It's easier to focus, let's say, on one specific asset. But then I'm like, but which one should I choose? Then I'm like, more opportunities came to me. Like right now, I'm representing sellers on office buildings and warehouses and flex space, three types of assets and for one seller. So I'm like, imagine I would have just limited myself to one thing. That opportunity wouldn't have come to me. So the same thing is like just being open and aware and keeping your eyes and ears open to different opportunities. You never know what you're meant to do. But now that I see that I got this, I want to take it to the next level. I want to open a fund. That's why I'm like really studying it, working with people. I think I'm going to go like in that direction. And maybe eventually for myself, there's a lot of opportunity there. I'm going to jump on that board. I'm going to jump on that train.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I'd love to hear more about this fund whenever that comes up. So, okay, Esther, I got one last question before we jump into the next segment of the show. And it's a question I get a lot, especially when it revolves around capital raising, not even necessarily from the standpoint of what you were saying about the legalities, but people seem to think, beginners, I should say, that what if I don't know anyone with money? How do I raise capital? What would you say to those people?
Back to the same thing as networking and letting your sphere know what you're doing. Just put it out there. Let the word be out there. You never know who's going to be that one person that says, your neighbor can be like just looking to place their extra money somewhere. So let people know what you're doing.
Yeah, 100%. It's so true. I mean, that was one of the main things that when I did the challenge, that was day one. Like, you're going to do 30 days live on Facebook because people probably don't know what you're doing. And sure enough, they didn't, because my own uncle didn't even know that I was investing in real estate. And I had no idea that he had a lot of money. And turns out he had $1 million he was looking to put into something. And I was like, what the? Since when, Uncle Mark?
The funniest thing was that I didn't even, I wasn't counting the money. I wasn't counting the amount of money I raised until someone had asked me. Like, I was just doing this for fun, really. And also my transactions. I didn't consider myself that I'm doing a business. I was just like doing things for the fun of it. I never like sat there and calculated till recently. I was on a call with someone and he was waiting for his accountant. And he's like, I'm waiting to hear how much money I have to give to taxes this year. So we were just like talking about numbers. And he's like, how much did you do? I'm like, I actually don't know. Like, I don't know. I didn't like put it together, calculate it, because I just started doing it and it was just like rolling. And I didn't even consider it a whole business. It was just something that I was like doing for fun. And then when I added the numbers up together, I'm like, wow, I think I got something going here.
Yeah.
So it was a very interesting realization.
That's amazing. You're just being yourself, hanging out, chilling, talking to people, and 30 million, just thin air. That's really powerful. All right, Esther. Well, hey, we're going to jump into the next segment of the show called the Pod Decks segment. I don't know if you've ever heard of Pod Decks, but it's a little company that creates decks of cards. They probably got like hundreds at this point, but what we're going to do, there's little questions on the back. So this is going to be like, pick a card, any card. You're going to tell me when to stop. We're going to pick two, and we're just going to ask whatever's on it. So tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Keep going.
Stop. This is fun. This is a great podcast way of asking questions. If anyone wants to start a podcast, which I don't plan on doing, by the way. I can't think on another thing. That's it.
This is one of my favorite, or this is my favorite segment of the podcast.
Here you go. I can't wait for the question.
First question. What distracts you the most every day?
I'm a super motivated person. I do this for fun, and I'm so competitive that I have my A game on the whole time. I love the hustle. So I'm not so distracted, I should say, but I have children. So I don't want to say that they distract me, God forbid. They're my priority. But my only distraction from the business is my family. Does that answer the question?
I can see that. No, yeah. I mean, I really started this for family and found out fairly quickly that trying to scale and actually be successful in this business requires a lot of time. And so it kind of took time away on the get-go, but we're now getting to the point where the success has begun to snowball and I can have just a little bit more time and try to systematize some things so that things become easier.
That's amazing. The only distraction that I'm getting better at is social media.
So you're getting less distracted or more distracted by
Well, I
social media?
use social media more for my business than for fun.
Okay, yeah.
I used to be on it a lot. And then I'm like, let me use the time that I am on social media to promote my business and to promote,
Yeah.
like, I post properties that I'm selling or connect with people. So social media can be a big distractor if not used correctly.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, next question. I like this question. What is a secret that you've never told anyone?
One of the main reasons that woke me up to start learning and doing was I was in a very bad emotional state for many reasons, including my son's situation at a certain point. It was a few reasons together, and I really, really hit rock bottom. I was so depressed at that point. I just had to make a decision as to either stay down there or pick myself up for my sake, for my family's sake, and just do something with myself. So that was a massive turning point for me that I had to get up and just make that decision. I don't share that really so much.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll write a book about it. But yeah, there you go.
That was powerful. I was not expecting that. I was thinking it
Yeah.
was going to be something like funny or comical, but that was serious. And it's a good thing you shared that. Sometimes getting that stuff out there empowers other people because other people are probably in the same situation that you were back then.
Yeah. So even that letter I wrote to my son, like, took me a lot to write because I had to overcome so many things in order to write that lesson and be able to learn from the situation. Because
Yeah.
I always say, like, it's a miracle that I'm normal after going through it. I went with him. It was like right after birth for 4.5 months. And then the year after he was home, our house turned into a mini hospital. So it was like it was a situation that literally pulled me down. I had to make that red pill moment decision.
Yeah, that's really powerful. All right, Esther, now we're going to jump into the last segment of the show called the Core Four. It's the same 4 questions we ask every guest. First question, what is your favorite real estate related book?
So I don't have too much time to read. That's the truth.
I can tell.
I listen to podcasts whenever I'm carpooling or driving if my kids allow me, if they're okay with it. If not, I have to put on some music or whatever. But if they're not in the car, I listen to podcasts all the time. That's my book. But now I'm like really, really hooked on everything capital raising. Bought all the books and I want to know every single thing, what everyone knows about capital raising because I'm going for this.
So are you just saying you're hooked on everything capital raising, like that's a company, or just everything capital raising?
Oh, everything, every book. I bought every book about raising capital.
Okay.
Like How to Raise Capital Legally by Kim, Lisa Taylor, Sam. I forgot his name. Sorry. I don't want to botch it. There are a few people that wrote some books about capital raising and I'm trying to get all that info into my brain. So I'm not a big reader, but I'm going to push myself to this one. I read articles whenever I can, like the short stuff quickly that I could do. But books, I'm going to have to really set aside time to do this. I mean, I'm listening to podcasts nonstop, so I know a lot. But I want to make sure I'm doing this because I'm going big.
Yeah. Big, huge. Love it. Okay. Next question. What do you think your unique skill is that helped you become successful?
I think I'm a good networker. I consider myself a serial networker.
Serial networker. So it's like I guess you could use serial for a lot of different things, like serial killer, serial. If you're a serial networker, it's a good thing.
Serial networker.
Okay.
Self-coined term.
Yeah. Next question. Tell me something that's true about real estate that almost nobody agrees with you on.
I don't know if nobody agrees with me on this, but I think you could do things the right way. I think you could do things the honest way. When I got involved in residential real estate, there was every realtor trying to grab the next deal and whatever it takes to, I had stories that people were just not doing their fiduciary duties that they pledged as a realtor towards their clients. And I'm like, there has to be a way to do this right. And I feel like people really I think they were tired of BS. A lot of people are tired of BS and they really appreciate the honesty and transparency. So I think it's not something that people don't know, but I think you can get far by doing right by people.
Oh, absolutely. What's a crazy story you got for us?
Oh my goodness. I could write a book just on that. I was representing the buyer on a house, and the seller's agent that I know is representing the seller. The house was sitting on the market for a very, very long time. It was an old, dilapidated house, but I had found a buyer for it. And the house needed a ton of work. And the seller agreed to do the work. But came the final walkthrough right before we're closing, there were a lot of issues that had to be done that the naked eye couldn't see, like an inspector had to come in and see. So the buyers brought the inspector to do the final walkthrough with them, and the agent and the seller's agent and the seller flipped out when they saw the inspector come to do the final walkthrough, because they hadn't done a lot of what they promised to do. So these were my clients. I had to do what was right by them. I had to protect them. And we called the attorneys right then. We sat down. I'm like, they can't get away with this. You can't do that. You promised something and it's in the contract. You signed it. You got to do it. So they had to put, I don't know if it was $5,000 in escrow, because we were going to closing right after. They didn't stop yelling and cursing at me that whole day. They were just mad, but I didn't care. This is me. This is my job. This is what I signed up for. So that was just one little story. It was, yeah.
Man, there's so many people that will try to pull a fast one on you. You just got to do your due diligence and keep your eyes peeled.
Even now, with commercial, there's so many, this is a sharky business. People are out there to try to circumvent, and, there's a limit to how much you can protect yourself and do. But it's not cool. Not cool.
Yeah, it's not. And the people that are honest and open, they're the ones that are going to be highly sought after. As we can tell, why 200 million coming your way easy. So
yeah, just yesterday I had somebody reached out. We're co-broking on a certain deal, and it's actually my deal that I'm representing the seller. He's like, I reached out to one of my clients, and they're interested in the deal, but the guy said he knows you. Would you still be willing to co-broke? He said he knows you, but he's never seen the deal. So I said, of course, I know a lot of people. You introduce the deal to him. I'm willing to split my commission with you 100%. So, you know what I mean? I think there's a way to do it, and there's a way to do it fair by everyone. Yeah. And I think he's going to be happy to work with me in the future, because if I would just cut him out right then and there goes that bridge.
Right. Yeah. I love that. Don't burn the bridges.
Exactly.
Okay. Last question. What one piece of advice would you give to our listeners wanting to succeed in real estate investing?
One piece of advice. Okay, so I tell people that are looking to invest to start slowly. Start out as a passive investor, always putting a little bit here. And then I always say, be that active passive investor where you're trying to learn as much as possible. You're not just sitting back and you gave your money and you're expecting a return quarterly or yearly or whatever the deal is. Ask questions. Keep your eyes on the deal, follow up, learn about it. So be that active passive investor. That's how I recommend people start like that. Eventually, you go to a co-GP status. Then you can go on to buying. Once you have the full knowledge, go on to buying the next deal yourself. So educate yourself as much as possible.
Yeah, love it. All right, Esther, if anybody wants to learn more about you and your business, how can people get in touch with you?
I am on LinkedIn as Esther Reizes Lowenbein. I am on Instagram as Esty Lowenbein. I am on Facebook. Find me by my email, estreizes@gmail.com. I have my website coming out really soon, so I'm excited for that. It's going to be estherreizes.com when it comes out. Right now it's under construction, but I'm excited for that. You can find me there soon. Looking forward to connecting with you all the listeners, and try to help all buyers, sellers, and investors.
Love it. Well, hey, I know you have taken some of your very precious time out of today to come out here and be on the show with us. And I know I got a lot out of this. I mean, raising $30 million in 8 months is no small feat. I know you said it was easy, but man, it's not easy for everyone. So I'm glad that we were able to get you on here and you're willing to share with us what you know. So I wanted to thank you for coming out on the show with us.
My pleasure. This was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it was fun. Now I'm going to have to learn more about this fund you're about to start.
Oh, yes. I'm excited to start it.
All right, Esther. Well, hey, we will see you later.
Thank you.
What a great show, guys. Man, that was awesome. I thoroughly enjoyed that show. I mean, we had more conversations after we ended the recording about this fund that she's putting together and about some deals we've got that we could use some more capital for. And this lady's crushing it. I mean, you need to watch out for Esther, because before you know it, she'll be raising $100 million in 2 months. I mean, she has got the connections. She knows what she's doing. She's being genuine. She's one of the most genuine people that I think I've ever met. I mean, her openness and honesty, and just an incredible woman. I'm stoked to see where she continues to go from here. I hope I can be a part of it. I hope I can provide some value to her and that we can continue to scale together. So if you guys are looking to raise money, if you're needing to raise money, if you got deals, you got opportunities, even if you're looking for deals, reach out to Esther. She's got some opportunities. She's got deals. She's got great off-market things. And obviously she has access to capital. So she could easily help you out as long as you got that track record, you got happy investors, she'd be happy to do that. So guys, that's all I got. I'm super stoked about next week's show and what we have continuing to be in the works. I think this episode's going to be released probably sometime in April, but when I'm actually recording this is in February, and we've currently got probably about 800 or 900 units worth of properties we've got LOIs out on. So our goal of reaching 1,000 units in 2021 could come a lot sooner than we think. So I'm really excited for what's in the works here and all the opportunities and new things that are coming up. So if you guys are interested in investing in any opportunities or deals that we have coming up, feel free to get on our list at ferraricapital.com/partnership. You can fill out that little form there. You can get involved and stay up to date with any new opportunities we have going on, stay up to date with market specifics in Mobile, and just stay in touch with us. We'd love to stay in touch with you on a bi-weekly basis, monthly basis, bi-monthly basis. It doesn't matter to us. We just want to stay in touch. We want to make sure that you guys are getting all of the value that you can out of us, even if it means more time, even if it means late night phone calls. We want to be sure you guys are getting everything that you need out of this show, this podcast, out of the newsletter, out of the ebook we wrote, out of the social media posts we post, out of the website we created, out of all the content we give, and then out of the deals that we bring to you guys. We want to make sure you're getting the most out of all of those things. So, and then lastly, guys, before we leave here, please subscribe, please leave a 5-star rating and review. It will help us tremendously. It helps us and it helps others. It helps others continue to learn more about real estate and continue to learn what opportunities are out there, what ideas, what new thoughts and ways that they can do things. And then it just builds everyone's network to continue. I mean, because once someone else gets in the space, then they meet someone else, introduce them into the space, or they meet someone already in the space. They bring something new that this other person didn't have, and we all just continue to grow together. So if you could, leave a 5-star rating and review, and it would be greatly appreciated. All right, guys, that's all we got. This is Josh Ferrari signing off.